Welcome to Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly. This is primarily a drone show. We'll be sharing adventures from all over the world. We hope to have interesting guests every week, and we're glad that you tuned in tonight. We'll be flying different drones in different locations. We encourage viewer participation in the chat. If you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. Every week we'll have another interesting guest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We'll be sharing various adventures by our guests as well as myself. And thank you for joining us tonight. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to Adventures with Captain Ray Kelly Live. And it's good to see everybody. And I'll tell you, I can't believe that the meetup has come and gone, and people are already signing up for next year. It's amazing. It really is, and I really appreciate that. Um, I mean, just to let everybody know, I got 38 names already signed up for next year. So it's amazing. It really is. And I tell you, I got an exciting show scheduled tonight. Got two great guests on. And if you saw the Facebook post, you know who they are. And that's Jeff Norman and Dennis Lovelady. They're very experienced drone pilots. And I know you're going to find them very interesting. And hopefully we'll have some fun and some laughs and maybe even learn something, because Jeff is going to share his knowledge on photography and flying, aerial photography, and Dennis is going to talk about flying also, and playing a ukulele and live streaming at the same time. So it should be a great show. But I tell you, again, first of all, I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you to everybody who came to the South Florida Drone Meetup, because without you guys, it wouldn't have been a success. And we broke all records in attendance. We had over 25 pilots there, drone pilots, family and friends. There were a lot more female pilots this year there, and we had children there, and it was just a good time. And it's not all about flying. It was all about, meeting one another, talking to one another, learning from one another. But Alex Escardo, he gave us an awesome editing presentation. So I got to say thank you to Alex, too. And obviously, thank you to all our sponsors. We had more sponsors than ever, really. I'm just going to shout out Ken Dono. He was our number one sponsor. And, it's funny because you guys that attended know how many prizes we had, and they were all over the table. And it was pretty confusing, to say the least, to keep track of them all. But I tried to label them all, thank you to whoever gave them to us, and shout them out while people were receiving them. But when I went home finally 2 days later, and I got into my Tucson, I drive a Tucson, but I was taking all my stuff out of the Tucson, and I came across these two boxes. And these were raffle prizes that were given by Ken Dono. And the same thing sort of happened last year, but again, these things do happen. And I called up Ken and I apologized that we didn't give him his prizes, but he had handed them to me the night before. And it's one of those things where I didn't get a chance to label them with his name on them. Thank you to Ken Dono. But I called up Ken, and Ken said, "You know what, Ray? I suggested to hold them till next year. He said, no, no, they give them away on the Fly for Fun show. To make it long story short, so we're going to be giving these prizes away on the Fly for Fun show, and I know everybody probably wants to know what's in the box, so I'm going to show it to you. It's an unboxing, but this is a very very good FPV drone. Okay, DJI frame, and I'm not that familiar with FPV drones, but I heard it's worth a lot of money. Um, and we're gonna give it away, like I said, Wednesday night on the Fly for Fun show. So um, be sure to tune in, 7 p.m. with me and Johnny. But I tell you, look at everybody in the chat, and I got to say hello to Al from South Florida Drone Flies, and Dustin, One Vision Aerials, Bob Casey, how you doing? And Jaybird Drone, good to see you, Joe. And there's Barkley, number 107. And you know, Barkley signed up to be in on the list, the list for the South Florida Drone Meetup for next year. But he said to me, Ray, I want to be number 107. So he's got number 107 for next year. But anyway, Captain Joe's in the house. How you doing, Captain Joe? And John Olson from Long Island. How you doing? And Trucker Steve and Jerry Bauer and John Flying Flynn Media, Fly Guy Merrill, Joe Fodolio. And one of the reasons I was a little late because I won't even talk to you about Joe. But Joe knows why I was a little late. But anyway, it was good to see Joe so everybody. I'm not going to keep saying who I met at the South Florida Drone Meetup. I met so many people and watching the show tonight. So thank you again all for coming. Then we got Mudball Creative, Don, how you doing? And Joel, Skyfly, and there's Michael Wright, Texas Arch Drone Guy. And I'm going up the list, but I'm going to get the guest in here shortly. And Alan, Drone Views Media, coming to us all the way from Ireland. And let's see here. I'm going up the list. Lisa, how you doing? And TJ Grady, how you doing? Steve Jones. Good to see my friend Steve Jones coming to us all the way from Texas. Jim Beauchart. There's Jim. How you doing, Jim? I guess you made it back to Canada. All good, And we got Paul Brown. How you doing? And there's the one and only Johnny Drone Flyer. How you doing, Johnny? And Andrew, how you doing? But listen, I'm going to get back to the names in a few minutes. Alicia B, how you doing? Good to see you. Andrew Silverfox, did I say Andrew? Hi to Andrew. But anyway, I'm going to get back to the name shortly. I don't want to leave Jeff in the back room too long, but I want you all to give a big, warm welcome to Jeff Norman. He's from the New York City Drone Group, and he is one of the best editors and aerial photographers I know. I had the privilege to fly with him in Port Jefferson, New York, and he came to the South Florida meetup with his lovely fiancee, Robin, and I was glad to see that. So please welcome in Jeff Norman. Hey, Jeff.
How you doing, Ray?
You won one of the cups.
I did. I won. There were a lot of great prizes, and you're right. The table was overflowing with the amount of stuff that you got. People are very generous in the drone community, and you're one of them. And just so everyone knows, this stuff is not a ton of money, but when you give out one a week and for events like that, and then you have to mail them, it does cost a lot of money. So I just want to say I appreciate it, and I understand what you do to help support the hobby, and the community, and your own channel. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you won it. Believe me. But Jeff, we got to know each other through your group. You're one of the, I guess, founding members of the New York City Five Boroughs group, right?
I am definitely not. I actually started flying around the same time that a lot of them did, but I didn't join the group. I'm an administrator of the it's called now 5B and Beyond NYC Drone Meetup Group. because there's lots
Right.
of groups, but they don't necessarily get people together to have events, just like you did in South Florida. So it's a pretty active group. Like every group, there's a ton of people, and we try to get more and more of them involved
Yeah.
uh, to actually physically be there. But it is a fun group, and I also have started another couple groups on my own since then. One is extremely successful. It was the original Mini 3 Pro and Mini 3 group. If you go to Facebook and type in DJI Mini 3 Pro and Mini 3, there's a bigger group that started out after us that's based somewhere in Europe, but my group has almost 29,000 members at this point.
That says a lot, Jeff. It does. Yeah.
And believe me, there's still people like on your channel that say, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing," but you do the best you can to try to keep it a place that people can exchange ideas. That's the most
But
important thing.
exactly. But Jeff, you're again, you're a professional photographer, along with an aerial photographer, and I guess you can say you're both. But tell us how you became involved with photography, and any maybe tips you want to share with the viewers.
Sure. I became involved in photography because my dad, who was a tool and die maker, was a avid hobbyist, and he loved to travel and bring his Leica cameras with him. And he put a camera in my hand when I was about 7 years old. And he said, "You got to buy your film and you got to pay for developing, and I'll teach you a little bit about how it worked." And I remember I had to push a little button on the side of the camera to have this metal thing pop up, so the light meter will tell me how much light was coming in, and I had to adjust. Everything was manually adjusted back then, but it
Right.
taught you not to waste a shot, to actually see everything. And I had other photographers and colleagues say, "You are responsible for everything in your frame. You don't, if a pole is, I wouldn't do this. Oops, where is it? There. If I had a chance, I would get rid of that. But it is what it is for a live stream. You don't want things growing out of your head, people's heads, if at all possible. Um, but composing photography it's a form of art, and the drone just gives you the ability to get to places that you couldn't get to otherwise. I think I told you one other time in the past that I used to go a little bit around the country and teach portraiture, group and individual portraiture, and I said everyone shoots from 5 feet high because that's where you stand. You need to make it more interesting. Either get down on the ground, lay on your stomach, or get up on a ladder or a second story or something. And this gave me another opportunity to shoot from a more interesting perspective.
Right.
And that's why, and then from there, I've done a lot of work on websites. And as a matter of fact, I'm working with someone now from Europe who's doing a documentary. And we hopefully
Really.
sometime in the summer will be shooting around the New York City area, some drone work.
Very
There's
nice.
also another crew doing interviews and such, and I don't know the whole thing. All I know is we're in negotiations now to take care of that, and it
Good.
should be interesting and fun.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of fun doing that, and
Sure.
to say the least, very interesting to say the least.
Hmm.
I enjoy flying with you, and when you asked me to fly with you in Port Jefferson, I was so happy, to be honest with you. And we filmed a nice sunset down there that night, and I met some of the other members, and that was just we call them a mini meetup, right? That was fun.
Right. Right. It was, and just hang out with people. The thing I like about the meetups is you get to talk and share thoughts, and just going out afterwards to eat or a drink. That's really what makes it much better. And it's sort of about drones, but it's really just about connecting with other people. And life is short, and the more you can do that, the better you'll be fulfilled. I think making good contacts with people, good relationships rather.
Exactly. And Al from the South Florida Drone Flyers, he's got a great group too, but he does the monthly meetups, and we
Right.
do get-togethers quite a bit, once a week, sometimes twice a week. But and it's good to see that too. So I hope when I get back to Long Island, you and I are going to fly a lot more together.
Absolutely. The weather will be better, right? Every time I've gone out in the last few months, it's been with what I call my drone pants, which are these super lined things that, I've been out in 0 degree weather and I'm okay with that. But it's much better when you can feel your fingers after burning a battery. But just now, as a matter of fact, I went and I flew in Queens with the Mini 3 Pro.
Okay.
Um, I got some historic buildings, and I did a
How do,
cool aerial up.
how do you like that drone, the Mini 3 Pro?
I think it's great. The only disadvantage, I'll start with the disadvantage and then tell you all I like about it, is it's kind of silly that you have to cool it when you're doing firmware updates, but
Yep.
it's because to keep it light, um, they don't have internal fans and it has to move for it to keep cool. So even if you
Right.
hover it in the summer in one spot, it's going to overheat. There's DJI sucks.
Max here, you say it because DJI sucks.
No, listen, there's no such
DJI
thing
is
as
the best. We know that.
the. Listen, I have flown
You
everything
you got
from
hotel drones though, right? Jeff?
Autel,
Yep.
DJI, EXO, uh, even the Holy Stone, and I've flown everything. My first was just like Candano. It was a Parrot Bebop. So I've flown lots of different brands, and people that are so this one stinks or team that it's silly. It's a tool. I mean, you don't go crazy over your Microsoft computer. It's a tool.
Yeah,
Just use it. I mean,
exactly.
people don't go crazy over their Craftsman hammers. Or at least they
Yeah.
shouldn't.
And Gary,
EXO.
Gary won the Exo drone. He won it at the South
Uh,
Florida drone meetup. So,
it has a pretty good sensor. I mean, everyone uses this term color science like it's a magical thing. It's really just a decision. How the engineers, if we take this sensor and this lens, how are we going to interpret that, both the geometry and also how the color comes through? It's this. There's nothing magical. The word color science is a little bit highfalutin for me. I mean, uh, the Sony sensor in the Autel works just as well as the Hasselblad sensor. And as people know, just because you have that big name on there, for instance, Panasonic in regular cameras uses Leica lenses, but the Leica lenses are different. It's not exactly the same. Sure, they take some of the technology, but you put the Leica camera next to the Panasonic, and you can tell there's a difference.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm a DJI fanboy, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
but I do have a Femi Mini. I don't fly it that often.
Right.
But you know, um, what? And this is not to put you on the spot, and believe me, I just would like to know your opinion about you attending the South Florida Drone Meetup. What you think of the event?
I think it's a fabulous idea that if you can bring people from, Marcus was from Idaho. There was someone, I think there was Vegas people. There were plus all the locals, plus all the easy Northeast to South, the
From
easier
Canada? They came from
from
Canada
Canada.
this year.
Right. I think it's a great idea. The idea that you get there early before sunrise, and I assume you're going to show the video that I put together that captures some of the sunrise, like a lot of the guys did. That
I
brings a lot
know.
because the everything, almost everything, outside looks better in the blue light or that orange light, that civilian twilight as they call it. Things look better in that light most of the time. So flying during the day is easy. I've heard people say, I'm never flying from sunrise to sunset anymore. I'm only flying, nighttime and close to those things. And I've gotten some really good stuff locally.
Yeah.
I did a video. I
Well,
don't know if you saw it in,
you were in Washington Heights. I saw that
yeah,
Washington
Washington.
Heights photos
Yep,
going up.
yep. And Yankee Stadium. Obviously, never during a game. You don't want to scare people.
No.
You got to treat people like you want to be treated. Even if it was legal, which it totally is not, to be near a stadium when there's over 30,000 people. You don't want to scare people. You shouldn't want to scare people. It does not benefit you. It does
Exactly.
not benefit the hobby,
Right.
and it's totally illegal. And it should be really.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree with you, Jeff. But listen, you brought up about your video that you did, and I thought it was pretty good. So let me
Thank
just
you.
show it now. Um,
Thanks.
and I mean, I really love the way you edit and everything. So you can narrate
Yeah,
over it if you want as it plays.
sure. And see if you can get a full screen on that part of the screen. Well, this was the sunrise. I started with the still, and then I went into a time lapse because time lapse always is compelling. And I threw in a few iPhone. This is an iPhone photo, and there's our other guest, Mr.
Dennis, yeah.
Lovelady, serenading. And I did have a. I'm in a lot of the photos. I have to apologize. The Nano Killers right there, and the shirt that I think is funny. And
I
there's
know.
the Fly for Fun gang, and Ken always stays original.
Yeah.
And then peace is one of Billy's comments, and but and bye is this Ken's comments. This is just to try to get everyone in, or as many people as were underneath that first pavilion. And this I did a little bit of slow. There we go. It was very windy, as you know, at the end of the day. People were blowing around a little. And there you are, giving away the prizes. And that was the one drone that got our group shot. And there we are, Pasquale.
Yeah. No, that was great. Really. Very nicely done. Really.
Thank
So,
you.
so where did you sort of learn how to edit? I mean, really, it takes a lot to be a good editor.
You should see my first videos that I shot and edited. It's practice. There are some people that I respect very much in the Five Boroughs group that's given me advice that do tons of videos, and they don't necessarily post them all the time. A guy named Step uh, and Xavier, and
Yep.
so many videos from my friend Audley. He and Deneen and Irving, and these are some of the guys that and like anything, they push you, whether it's science or drones or photography or baseball or whatever it is. People around you, they do better and they push you. I went up. They are pulling down the old 84-year-old water tank in West Hempstead, and they're disassembling it. And I went up and I took a picture that I did from 2 years ago, and I put it next to it. And my friend Ollie went up and did a much better video. So I mean, I think we motivate each other and push each other.
You
And
know, I have
but
a
how
funny story.
I learned
Yeah,
from
go ahead.
those guys and from YouTube videos and from practice and doing a lot. Um, I do other videos for websites. I do recruiting videos for athletes in high school that want to play various sports in college. So the more you do it, the more you say, let me try this. And, you mix things in.
Okay. Um, well, I have to say, I think you're an incredible editor and drone pilot. You're a lot
Thank you.
braver than I am. You know that. And I,
It's
I
only
mean,
money. And I will tell you, in 6.5 years, I've had two crashes. One was pretty minor. One was definitely not minor. And it's okay. It's a hazard. I mean, I've had video cameras that people have tripped over with nothing to do with drones, and then $1,000 goodbye. In fact, and then another video camera, regular video camera that I had, my most expensive one, several $1,000s, and when I knocked it over, luckily it was only about a $500 repair. But that's anything. Anytime you bring something outside, that even in a studio that can break, it's going to break at some point.
right, right. Well, again, um, I started to say I have a funny story about Washington Heights, and I'm looking forward to seeing your video on that because I grew up in Washington Heights, and I taught drone bomb. I don't know if you know Paul drone bum,
Nope. Mhm.
but he's from Montour, and he does sunrise flights on the weekend on Sundays. And I said, after you do your sunrise flights, why don't you take a ride into Washington Heights with me? I want to fly the water tower. He said, sure, Ray. Yeah, yeah, we'll go in there. You know where you're going to fly from? I said, no, no, but I have an idea. But to make a long story short, we went all the way in there. We went to Highbridge Park, and, you know, I got my land's clearance, put it that way. And unfortunately, when we got in there, the whole water tower was being renovated at that time. You remember when it was being renovated a couple of years ago?
Absolutely. It finished in December of 21, I believe, but it was covered up for a while.
So I got some shots of it covered up, but I have to go back. So hopefully you'll take me and we'll go to your secret spot where you fly from.
Absolutely. Have you ever had Cape Cod potato chips?
I've heard of them. Yes.
Okay, you look in the supermarket for Cape Cod
Yeah.
potato
No. No.
chips,
I know. I
and
had
there
them.
is a lighthouse on there. And one of the things, like a lot of guys like to do, drone and non-drone, is shoot lighthouses. So Robin and I went looking for it. We had a couple of wrong attempts, and then we got to the lighthouse at sunset, and it's covered in scaffolding.
Oh,
So
same
I
thing.
got to go back to the Cape Cod potato chip lighthouse myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you, these things happen. Unless you got somebody in the area who knows exactly what's happening.
Mm.
Sometimes you get there and it's a disappointment, but you make the best of it. You know.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to show that Washington Heights video, I think that's even a better one. And that's something I think everyone, because it's Washington Heights and it's
Okay.
Yankee Stadium.
All right. Let
So
me
that's
try to
also on the
find it. Let
channel.
me try to
It's
find it. And
right on the channel too. And that's really pretty well timed up. That and who was it?
if anybody
Alex
has
was the
any
one.
questions for Jeff, just put them in the chat.
Sure.
We'll try to answer them. Um, the chat is flying by tonight. So, all right, Washington Heights. Well, Highbridge at Yankee Stadium. Yep,
There
there
you
it
go.
is.
That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
let's see. All right, let's see if I can. I'll do it. Let's see now. We'll go down here and we'll show it, and then you can narrate over this one. And the other thing is you don't make yours too long. I was making
Exactly.
mine way too long. I cut them down. Look at that. There's the old water tower.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this
I thought
town,
it looked pretty, and then as I turned, it got better and better looking. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, when you see me go past it, you can look at the bottom of the tower on the left side, and you'll see the orange reflecting on it. I thought that was beautiful. Now,
what's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take us anytime
Nice.
to show you what you need to
got the
live?
train too.
Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I
I mean,
really
look at that.
want
I
you
swam in that
now.
pool way back in the
The
day.
time of the season for love.
There's the walking bridge. I walked across to the Bronx many times.
And those are the apartment buildings that are over the Manhattan Expressway that go to George
Yankee
Washington Bridge.
Stadium.
Yeah. Not on a game day, guys. I would never go on a game day.
This is incredible. This video is incredible, Joe.
Thank you.
Stevie Bronx should be here watching it. He'd be getting very excited.
What's your name? name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you
If
need to
Alicia's
live?
saying that you
Tell
captured
me
the soul.
tell you what I really want to know. It's the time
Yep.
of the season for
Really nice, Jeff. Very, very nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. The what I've done more and more, and it's one of the things you don't generally do in the beginning, is time. And in fact, I think it was who was at the meetup that talked about editing. You time your cuts in the video
Alex.
to
Yeah.
Alex, right? And it's so important because it makes it so much more effective. Other than that, it's sort of like having a conversation and having people interrupt each other where you should let me finish and then you talk and it's a conversation. That's sort of what it's like to edit on the breaks in the song. It makes it much better. And I will speed up or slow down. Well, you'll if you want to get all this action, but the amount of song is this much, you just got to speed up that clip, maybe 123% to make it fit in that time. So
Yeah.
so many of those things are based on, you put them all down and then the music doesn't match and you go through from beginning to end and change the length and the speed of each clip to some extent to make it match up with it. And then a lot of times you can take a little bit more of the video as well. But yeah, the matching up is real important in my opinion. I think it makes it flow much more.
I just ended ask. I just uh, have a note here to ask you. How do you find your music for your videos, and what do you use to edit?
Okay. How I find my music, typically on my way home, I'll start thinking through all the songs in my life that I've heard that I have on my iPhone, and I'll find something. Most of the time, people don't want to get copyright notice. I don't have enough people on my channel at this point to monetize it, so I'm not worried about copyright notices. And unless you have to do something really bad to have them have it as a full strike against you. So I don't have any strikes, but I have like, you can't monetize this video. I don't care because I want to put the right music. And for me to find something that you've heard before that brings out an emotion, sure,
Yeah.
I have some subscription to, a lot of guys pick a subscription service that will provide you with different music. And those are good, but I'd rather have something that you've heard before
Right.
because it's going to make it a better video. So that's typically on the way home from the event or when I start editing. I go, what does this feel like to me? What's a good thing to make it go through? And what do I edit with? Well, I don't do any of these with iMovie, but I've used iMovie plenty. Filmora 12.
Hmm.
Final Cut Pro I love is so great. And
Yep.
DaVinci Resolve. And those, I
Okay.
mean, DaVinci Resolve is the strongest for color correction, and it's an unbelievable editor. But as someone who was introduced to editing on the Mac, I'm a big fan of Final Cut Pro as well. And I use them all. If I want to do something really quick,
I
I had a
flunked. I
discussion with Dave
flunked that
Kyle.
class. I took 3 sessions. Well, 5 sessions in it. I
Final
just
Cut
couldn't get
Pro.
it down. Yeah, this is a long, long
I,
time ago, though, when the rendering used to take 45 minutes, an hour.
well,
But
if you've
anyway,
got one of the newer Macs with the
I
M1
know
chips or
I had an
M2,
old one. Yeah.
right?
But
The
listen, we got our second guest in the back
Oh,
room,
sure.
you know. But I do want to let everybody in the chat know that, we had that group photo taken at the South Florida drone meetup this year, and it was taken by Pasquale Shabelli, and he took that shot with a GoPro Karma drone, and it was up there, and I got to give credit to Jeff because he reached out to me and he says, I can make it a little clearer if you want. And I said, well, Jeff, contact Pasquale and work it out. And he did. And Jeff, you did a phenomenal job touching that
Thank
photo up,
you.
really. And that's our new cover photo for the fourth annual South Florida Drone Meetup. So thank you, Jeff. But listen, everybody, we got our second awesome guest in the back room. He's going to come to us all the way from Georgia. No, yeah, Georgia. He's in Georgia, and he's at a secret location. We'll call it a secret location, and if he wants to tell everybody where he is, he can. But I want you to give a warm welcome to our entertainment that we had at the South Florida Drone entertainer that we had at the South Florida Drone meetup, and Dennis Lovelady, the singing droner. Give him a warm round of applause.
Hey everybody! Sorry,
Hey, Dennis.
I lost track of time, Ray. I'm so sorry.
No, how you doing? Good to
I'm
see
good. How about you?
you. I'm good too. Jeff is
Great.
here. We've been having a lovely conversation,
I caught the end of it.
and yeah, he showed off my mug, which was a surprise to me. He won one
And
of
I'm
the mugs I
drinking.
donated.
Having a wonderful cup of tea that my friend made me.
You know, it's funny because I'm drinking out of a United States Drone Society mug myself. But anyway, Dennis, you know, I want
Yes.
to say thank you for performing and entertaining us at the South Florida Drone Meetup.
Well, thanks for asking me to do that. I always humbled, that you do that. So thank you.
And your donation as well. Your raffle prize was a big hit, and
Yeah.
I tell you, I was dying to win it myself. You know, because I try to play my ukulele, and I still need a lot of practice.
Yeah, you need to put your ticket in if you want to win, though, Ray. That's
Well, next year I'm gonna take one. That's for sure.
you should.
Even if I gotta pay $5, I'm gonna take one.
There you
As
go.
long as you don't pull the things yourself, you let your cousin pull them. Why not?
But anyway, we had a lot of fun doing that raffle, and you know, but Dennis, that's not why I brought you on to talk about the raffle. I wanted you to talk about your Sunday morning sunrise stream and how
Okay.
you became involved with that, and how do you? Is it hard to live stream from a drone and play a
Well, I don't
ukulele at the
actually
same
live
time
stream
and sing?
I, I don't actually live stream from the drone. I used
Okay.
to, but because my I guess my purpose has changed. Right? It used to be all about the drone and the drone view and the sunrise and that. And I will talk about how we got that started. It wasn't me, but but now I use Prism, which is an app that's available on Android and it's available on iPad and iPhone, and I use it on an iPad. And basically just share my screen, and then from the screen share, if I happen to be flying a drone, then you see what I see, as far as DJI Go 4 or DJI Fly, or if I
Okay.
were using Litchi or something else, that's what you would see. And yeah, so I don't do it from it, but I could talk about doing it from the drone a little bit. But let me
Hey,
go
Brad.
back and answer that first question, the age-old question, about how the sunrise, follow the sun got started.
Yeah.
Is that back in 2016, I believe, or maybe it was 2017, in November, Philly Drone Life and I went to visit Drone Bell, and up in New York, not far from where you were at the time, because it was November. And
Right.
we spent a great weekend together. But Mike Philly Drone Life was only there for that first day. Anyway, we did a live stream with him several hours long, and he had this habit of going up for sunrise not a habit. He had well, we'll call it a habit. He went up for a sunrise Sunday morning for the past couple of months, I guess, since before that time. So maybe he started around July or August of I think it's 2017.
Okay.
I think about it because I had the Mavic 2. But anyway, during this day, one of the things we talked about was, wouldn't it be cool if, Drone Bum is here, and a little bit west of him is Philly Drone Life, and a little bit west of him is me. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have people, follow the sun as it moves across the
Right.
western sky, right? And so that's where that came from. I think it was actually Paul Drone Bum that came up with that idea, but it was either Paul or Mike. It wasn't me, but I was on board with it, from the beginning. And back in those days, the only way to go live that I knew about was from the drone, right? And so we used to use DJI Go 4
Go 4. Yep.
has or had, depending on your perspective, a capability of going live built into that. And you could just log into your YouTube channel and using the Go 4 app. And then there's I don't recall the exact steps, but it's not difficult. You just, select your platform and you say go live, and it would happen. And this was before somebody live streamed a gunning event, right? They went into some church or school or whatever and gunned people down, streaming that live. And so YouTube put restrictions that you couldn't go live using a mobile app unless you were 1,000 subscribers or more, and none of us were that. And so for a while we switched to RTMP.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, but back in those days, it was me and Drone Bum, me and then Philly Drone Life, and then it was Drone Bum and then Philly Drone Life and then me. And soon after that, Jim Hightower joined us from Athens, Texas. You might know him as Help at Home Jim. And between him and me, for a time, less exploration obsession, less think was in that spot between him and me. He was in Arkansas in the Ozarks. Yep. And then Jim got preoccupied with other responsibilities.
That's what happens.
And so he allowed Chris Hope to take his place.
Okay.
And then soon after that, we found Roosevelt in Benton, Arkansas, and he joined up with us, right? And it used to be that we had a pretty good contingent of people that went live. We did this on Saturday and Sunday. And on Saturday, it was a different set of people. It started out with Philly Drone Life, and then it came to me, and then Les Fink was big on those Saturday sunrises. And then I don't remember if Chris Hope used to go live on Saturdays or not. I think he did. but anyway, obviously I didn't prepare.
Well, I tell you, it's a big hit. I know that. That's how I sort of found you guys. I fell in love with you guys.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of good friends from watching you all. Really.
Right. Well, it was a great idea. It was a brilliant idea, actually. And we kind of wished we could push it westward a little bit further. We've tried it with a couple of people, and it just hasn't quite worked out yet. But I still suspect that at some point we'll at least cross the nation and possibly go beyond.
Well, then Rodney joined too, and Rodney.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to.
Yeah, and he's
Rodney.
Part of your,
basically took Philly Drone Life's place. I don't remember exactly the turn of events there, but he dropped out from the Sundays, and Rodney came in, I believe, at some point. But it was still Philly Drone Life starting things out on Saturday.
But then on Saturday, he also does a coffee with Rodney and friends on Saturday morning after you guys fly, right?
Right. But I'm talking here. I was talking about Philly Drone Life, but he's out of that now. He's not interested in doing that anymore because he has other things that he's preoccupied with, right? So, but yeah, you're right. So Rodney and I do the Saturday sunrise, right? He starts things off because he's east of me, and then it comes to me, and then after I'm done, he does coffee with Rodney and friends.
And you talk about a lot of interesting subjects on that show.
Yeah.
And you welcomed me. I remember when I first went in, I was so nervous, and you guys welcomed me, and I really appreciated that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then Johnny, a couple of years later, he started his Drones and Coffee after Chris Hope flies on Sunday
That's
mornings
correct.
with
Right.
Drones and
Because
Coffee.
there was nothing following Chris Hope. Nothing organized following Chris Hope's live stream. So Johnny fixed that problem.
Right, right. But listen, Dennis, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
that's
just
fine.
want to,
I was rambling anyway.
no, you weren't rambling, but I just want to go get to my little format that I have, and that's the tip of the week. I want to share that. Not that it's such a great tip or anything like that, but this week's tip, and I might have said it already, is just keep a drone log book while you're flying. When I first started, I just had a blank book. I started keeping track of who I flew with, my drones, my batteries that I'm using, where I flew. But now I'm a little more sophisticated, and I got a couple more.
Whoa. I guess
But
you
actually,
are.
no, this is already a raffle prize for next year,
All right.
and I may start using this one. But just use a drone logbook, guys, and it may help you out someday.
It's a great
And
idea.
if you're Part 107, I think it's required, if I remember right.
Is it? I don't know. But yeah.
You're a Part 107, right, Jeff?
Yes, you have to make some. It could be electronic or on paper, but you have to have a log and just say, yes, I checked all of my equipment. This is where I took off from. You have to have some sort of record because you're not going to remember every flight from memory.
Right.
Now, as a person who has a Part 107 license, do you also fly for hobby?
Absolutely. Not like today. I went to a couple of old buildings in Queens County of New York City, and that was purely recreational.
Right.
At that
So
point,
when
there
you
was
do
no
that,
job.
sorry, when you do that, do you add that to your log or not?
I will add it to my log if I go out on a job. I have a log and I put it in. It's contemporaneous, like as it's happening. But recreational, I'm getting to be more like Ray, where I just want to remember where I was. So to write it down is better. It's like when kids check in on Swarm used to be Foursquare, so they can kind of remember where they've been.
Right.
This is a way for us old farts to do the same thing. Hey, where were you? Where were those pictures? And I've also labeled all the photos as I shoot them. So where was I? And
Well,
that helps a lot as far as I'm concerned.
Cool. Yeah, I don't keep a logbook, Ray, and I know I should, but
you only have to if it's a 107 job, though. Then you have to, because and all this is in case something happens.
Yeah, there's have to, and then there's the memoir, the memory, right? So
exactly.
So, yeah. So for that reason, I probably should, but it's not something that I do. But on the other hand, nobody flies with me, Ray.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. I bet you there's some drone pilots in your area.
Even I don't fly with me, right?
But I know when you came down to visit me in Jupiter, and a couple of years ago, we flew. That meant so much to me, Dennis. Really, we had a good time doing.
We did have a good time.
We even went to a bee farm and flew that.
Yeah, and we went to see Earth, Wind, and Fire reunion.
Yeah, I was telling somebody about that concert. Right, great. Exactly. Yeah. But listen, and the other thing I just want to let everybody know is scrolling across the bottom. But next year's drone meetup is already being planned, and we already picked the date. It's going to be April 6, 2024 for the 4th annual South Florida Drone Meetup. We're going to have
17 right here, number 17.
There you go.
Number 29.
Yeah, we got 38 names on the list already.
Wow.
And we're going to have it at the same location again, and it'll still be free to attend. And contact me or anybody on the drone committee. Let us know you're coming, and I'll add you to the master list, and you'll get a number, and somebody will win a prize based on their number on that list.
Cool.
But so that's that. And then there was one other thing I wanted to say, other than thank you to everybody for watching. That really means a lot to me and all the live streamers, really. You guys watch our shows, and we really appreciate it.
That's time you'll never get back.
Exactly.
exactly.
And Gary, we're still working on the hotel. I got a call into the hotel. I haven't received a call back yet. So, but I'm hoping they'll give us a good discounted rate again and say we'd love you to come back. So, but as soon as I know, I'll put it up on the South Florida Drone Meetup Facebook page, and we'll talk about it next week. But
Yeah, well,
anyway,
hopefully they won't figure out that I was with the group, and they will give you that discount in spite of the fact that I trashed my room. So
That's
yeah.
surprising. You don't look like a room trasher to me, my friend.
I did. I threw a Dixie cup into the pool.
Oh, that was you. I heard about it.
No.
I don't think that really qualifies as trashing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure. Yeah.
Mikey, Philly Drone Life.
Yes.
I believe that if your mother gave you a name, you should use the name. So I'm going to call him Mikey.
Okay.
Have you heard from him? How is he doing? He was doing his act, and he put his foot in his mouth, and the FAA did come after him, and he didn't have the means, of course, to fix everything. But I'm just curious: is he okay? Did he go back to comedy? I know he's not doing a YouTube channel anymore.
I haven't heard from him in a long, long, long time.
I hope he's okay.
I should reach out to him.
People have
Actually,
been in touch with
every
him.
once in a while,
I hear he is doing okay. That's what I hear through the grapevine.
I mean, that was his act. That was his Gilbert Gottfried act. It wasn't deep down inside. The couple times I spoke with him, he's more sedate than that. And
the person that you see or saw on Philly Drone Life, that's not Mike. You know,
right. And Freddie Mercury was not the guy on stage is not the guy that was very quiet in groups. Shockingly, people don't know that.
Yeah, and I guess Rod Stewart also was one that he hid behind the guitar amps when he was first starting to play. So
exactly.
Hey, Steve, I think you're right though. I think Dennis is a party animal.
Oh, I am. You have no idea.
But anyway, I hope Steve makes it next year. He was going to come, and then his schedule was changed, and he couldn't come. And we know how people's schedules change, but you can still let us know you're coming. If you don't come, I just put a big canceled next to your name. I was putting weaseled out, but that wasn't tactful.
Along with a black mark, right?
But anyway, and Brian, I hope you can make it next year. And I'm not going to put people on the spot, but I'm so glad you two are coming back. Really, it means a lot to me and the rest of the drone committee. You know.
Yeah.
You're a good man, and people don't realize. Another event that I do that's not drone related, and I realize how much time and effort it takes to do anything. Nothing is simple, and if you've got 5 people on a drone committee, you have probably 4 opinions, if not 5. So it's not easy.
Right. No, but I gotta tell people about your artwork, your photography work, I should say. You have it displayed in libraries and everything. Jeff, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, briefly. I've been published in books, newspapers, book covers. I've done pro work for things, and I never had a display. So an old acquaintance of mine did something at the Port Jefferson Library, and I had a full month to have all of my work displayed. And we had a really nice event where family and close friends and some of my 5 boroughs group came out to see what I had posted. And I was ready to put it up, and then Robin and I both got COVID, so it had to be delayed for almost 10 days. But between the printing and the frames, I will tell you, it's again, like everything, like the meetup, it takes a lot of effort to get everything set up. And then to get all nice frames, if you don't spend a ton of money with them all custom made, and you have to get it from a place where they're pre-made, wooden frames scratch easily. So you're going crazy with all that. And then just to match them all. So I do plan on having another one somewhere in the Long Island area in the summer, because I've gotten more and more work all the time. And it was mostly aerial, but it wasn't entirely aerial, because like I tell people all the time, it's a camera, It does things differently, but it doesn't do everything better. So, but sure, every so many things you can do with a drone that you can't do with a regular ground-based camera. So
Right.
I will
It just
certainly
adds
let
a
you guys know
whole
about it.
different dimension. It does.
Exactly.
Aerial photography, in my opinion, is amazing. I wish I was better
Mhm.
at it.
Oh,
I
I'm
will share with
staring
you
at
whatever I
I'm
know.
I'm staring at one of the best drone photos. Well, he might have took this with a land. I think it's a drone. I forget which drone, but this is the New York City 9/11 lights,
right.
and Billy Kyle took this photo,
Wow.
and
It's
I have
great.
it sitting on my desk here. It's on acrylic. I had it printed on acrylic, and
But I
you
bet
know,
you, Ray, Captain Ray, if you asked Billy Kyle, he'd say, "Yeah, I wish I was better too."
you're probably right. He's a
Yeah,
modest, humble guy, and that's
He
yeah,
one of
really
the other
is.
things I like about Billy.
yeah.
You know. But listen, guys, it's about that time. The hour has flown by. I think the Ratify is going on right after me at 7 p.m. Al, let me know in the chat. And I meant to say hi to Al. Um, and I hope he is because I want to watch him. You
Yeah,
know?
he's going to be on tonight. I know for sure. I
Yeah.
have inside knowledge. So
Okay. And the other thing is, we can't forget about Drone Nation at 9 p.m.
right.
Unfortunately, I got to make this announcement too. I didn't want to end on a sour note, but Ron Brown ended up coming down with COVID um, after he left the meetup. So he don't know if he got it at the meetup or after the meetup, but him and his wife come down with it. So if anybody's not feeling too well from the meetup, go get tested. It's better to get tested, get cleared, or if you do have it, get the proper medication or whatever that you need.
Yeah.
But we wish
I
Ron
told
Brown
him
well. Get
yes.
well soon, Ron. And God bless you and Susan. And thank you for coming. But
I
anyway, Drone
told
Notion comes on at 9. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
I told him that I didn't come down with any symptoms, but I did let him touch my Nano Plus, and that tested positive as
Oh
soon as he
man,
touched it.
that'll do
Yeah.
it every time.
Yeah. But that's a good one, Jeff. That's a good one. But listen, now it's time for closing thoughts. So, Jeff, anything you would like to promote? The floor is yours.
Thank you. I do not have a date yet for a show. My drone channel, as you know, is just my name, Jeff Norman. And I will let you know more details as time goes on to a very, very drone friendly tour, which includes something else that people love, which is ice cream, the Long Island Ice Cream Tour. You can find us on Facebook and also on the internet. And if Dennis can come up, I'll promise to show you the best homemade ice cream on Long Island this summer. 2
Cool.
trips.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Well, that's cool. That sounds very like a lot of fun.
It is.
And Dennis, anything you'd like to promote? I know you're a humble guy too, but tell everybody about your live stream and your channel.
All right. Well, hopefully the weather is looking really promising for this Saturday and Sunday to live stream from Lake Lanier once again. I know you always like that location.
Yeah.
It's about 15 minutes that way. So I happen to be at my son's house, right? And this is where I'll be until my wife comes back from China on April the 25th. But as far as promotion, I just ask that you all pray for Susan Lee and anybody else that that has needs that humans can't do much about. So and there are plenty of people out there. Susan Lee is just forefront in my mind, but I know there are plenty of others that need all that support that they can get. So, and that's
Yeah.
it from me.
Well, thank you both for being on. Really, I mean it. I mean it. And you guys were great guests. And the only thing I want to start promoting is, when you go flying, try to take a kid with you, a child with you, you know, and teach them how to fly a drone, or teach anybody who's not a drone pilot how to fly a drone. You may get them hooked on drones. You know my old saying for the kids: let's get kids hooked on drones, not drugs.
Right.
And again, just get out there, fly for fun, and fly safely. And we'll see you again next week. And if you guys want to hang around, we'll say goodnight, and then we'll start our party in the back room.